Well, welcome everybody to our last meeting of this year. As everyone is aware, this is the public session of the Waterfront Toronto Board meeting, and it is open to the public and being recorded. I would like to start the meeting with a land acknowledgement, and Waterfront Toronto acknowledges that the land upon which we're undertaking our revitalization efforts is part of the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credits First Nation, and that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. Waterfront Toronto acknowledges that Toronto has historically been a gathering place for many Indigenous people, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is home to many First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples today. Thank you. The first item on the agenda is the motion to approve of the meeting agenda. I just would like to note that based on what was sent out, we are going to slightly reorder the agenda, and in light of ensuring that progress is made with respect to the Quayside project, we will actually go back into public with respect to any approval of motions, and then we will come back to have our in-camera directors meeting. So I just wanted to note that as we move forward. And I would ask for a mover and seconder to approve the agenda for the meeting.
Happy to move it, Steve. It's Jack.
Yeah.
Okay, Jack and Wendy. Okay, thank you. Okay, the next item is the declarations of conflict of interest. I will indicate that during the Quayside project, I declared a conflict of interest, even though legally it was questionable whether I did have one, but for the sake of perception, I did not participate. And as a result, I will not be participating in the discussion regarding item 13, nor will I be voting in respect of that matter when it comes to for discussion. So that's my conflict. Are there any other conflicts? Okay, then we will move on. Then once again, thank everybody for taking the time to be with us today, and to thank our government partners for their participation and for their ongoing support of Waterfront Toronto. We do have a full agenda and several matters for consideration. But before beginning, I do want to extend a warm welcome to Councillor Malik, our newest director. Councillor Malik has recently been elected as Toronto City Councillor in Ward 10, Spadina, Fort York, and has also been appointed to the board as the Mayor's delegate. Before joining Council from 2016 to 2022, Councillor Malik was the Director of Advocacy and Organizing at the Atkinson Foundation. Councillor Malik, we welcome you warmly to our board, and we look forward to working with you in the years to come. And if you have anything to say, I would welcome any comments that you may have.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the warm welcome to the meeting today. As mentioned, my name is Asma Malik, and I'm really honored to be joining the Waterfront Toronto Board. I want to just take a moment to really thank the entire team, George, David, everyone at Waterfront Toronto for getting me up to speed, for your warm welcome and sharing some background, Stephen. And I'm looking forward to getting to know all my colleagues on the board. I am so excited about the work that Waterfront Toronto is doing. Obviously, the waterfront has such an important significance to my community, but it is something that is a gem for the entire city. And the work that Waterfront Toronto is doing to unlock that potential, to make sure that it is a gem and pride for all of us for generations to come is really important. And what is so unique and exciting about this body is the collaboration from 3 levels of government on these incredible projects. I had a chance earlier this week to visit the Portland's flood protection, to see the scale, the care, the world-class level of that project, and to know that we were all a part of that. It's just very exciting what's next. and I look forward to our work together over the next while. So thank you.
Okay, and thank you. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. And there are a number of items that we put into our report that we assume that people will read as we review it, but I will ask at the appropriate time for any further comments from our committee chairs. And officially, the next item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes of the open session of the October 13th meeting. So could I have a motion to approve those? Raul and Drew? Okay.
Sorry, I have regrets for that meeting, Steve. I don't think you want me approving it.
Okay, sorry. So who put up? Wendy and Drew. Thank you. All those in favor? Approved. Great. So next, George, I will hand the floor over to you as our CEO and ask you to bring to the board's attention any matters you think are important this morning.
Thanks, Steve. So I'll try to make this fairly quick because I know we have a full agenda, but I do want to start actually by acknowledging, Steve, your Order of Ontario. So congratulations, well deserved in terms of receiving that just recently. Also, just to acknowledge Joe Mahavic's great contributions as he replaced Joe Cressy. And Osma, I just want to also welcome you aboard. And it was great to actually meet you before you won your seat in council. I don't know if people know, but she joined us for cleanup day. We worked with the Waterfront BIA and did a neighborhood cleanup, and Osma was very kind to join us, and that was a great contribution to the community. So thank you again and welcome aboard. Quayside, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail there. We continued negotiations and we'll be bringing that forward on today's agenda. On the waterfront revitalization, a number of individuals on the board had a chance to do a tour of the Portland's flood protection project, and I hope you had better appreciation of the complexity of this project and the great work the team has been doing. We've also had a number of visitors from Europe touring. We had cities of Calgary have a request from Hamilton to do a tour. So it's actually got a very broad perspective of acknowledgement and interest in the project. And again, I think it's just a reflection of what a great project it is and how complex it is. We did report back to HRGSR that we're making progress on our diversity, equity, and inclusion project and our initiative. And there's really three things that we pointed out in the summary there, which is the very first thing is we did not have a baseline. So that was the first initiative, is to get a baseline. And I'm proud to say, usually you get 30 or 40%, the consultants are telling us in terms of participation. We had 90% of our staff participate in filling out the survey and getting us a baseline. The other two initiatives that are underway is to actually move forward with regards to our organizational values and affirmation statement. And the staff have been participating. Over half of our staff have been working with the consultants to prepare that. So that should be done very shortly, and we'll be in the future monitoring our progress against the baseline data that we get. The other thing with regards to the flood protection project that I just want to acknowledge, we continue to receive awards for the bridges, for the stormwater plant. So it is something that's giving us continued attention, both nationally and internationally. On the Indigenous engagement, we continue to work with our Indigenous partners. Quayside Impact and ourselves met with the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation to look at how we're going to work together should the project be approved today, moving forward on the Quayside project. And I think the only other thing, Steve, that I would point out is our return to work. We continue to increase our presence in the office, so we're 5 days out of every 10. So half of the time is in the office. We continue to be very productive, and I just want to acknowledge and thank all the staff because it's been an extremely busy year. So that's it, Steve. I think that's all I'll say, and turn it back to you.
Great. Well, that's a great report, and it's interesting of the amount of attention that we're getting for the work we're doing. Does anyone have any questions of George? Okay, seeing none. The next item on the agenda is reports from Farm, IREC, and Human Resources and Stakeholder Relations. We generally assume those reports are taken as read, but I will ask if anyone of the chairs has anything that they would like to bring forward, and I'll start, Kevin, with you from Farm.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Just one item, really. We had our meeting on the 24th. I just really wanted to highlight the Infrastructure Canada Program Evaluation Report. As I understand it, this is a matter of course report for all public infrastructure projects and done by Infrastructure Canada. They just finished a program evaluation of Portland flood protection, and really they're looking at whether they're getting relevance and effectiveness for the grants that they're giving. And I'm pleased to report that our overall evaluation was very positive. 0 recommendations for improvement on what we're doing, and no responses requested from Waterfront Toronto from the federal government. So, management is to be congratulated on that, and we've actually asked them to post that report to Waterfront Toronto's website so that it becomes more of a public document and reflects obviously on the job we're doing. So, and the other items from the Farm Committee will be discussed and closed.
Well, that's great, and great news on that report. Okay, any questions of Kevin? Okay, Wendy, anything from Human Resources?
Thank you, Steve. Just very quickly, the committee met on November 10th, and all members were in attendance. We received updates on HR, stakeholder relations, also, as George said, a separate report, including some feedback from on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and then the report also from our external consultant, MNP. And we also spoke about succession planning within our organization. I can also confirm that we determined at this time that no changes were required to our key governance documents. And so that's really it for our committee. But I'd also like to welcome Councillor Malik, and we look forward to working with you very closely. So welcome.
Great, thanks, Wendy. Any questions of Wendy? Okay, lastly, Jack, IREC.
Thank you, Steve. Other than the committee has met several times over the fall and in various and sundry groups and I'm pleased to be bringing forward the recommendation of IREC on the Quayside impact proposal, which we'll be discussing later. Otherwise, the report, there's really nothing more specific to report at this time.
Okay, great. And any questions of Jack? Great. Okay, we're now on to the next item on the agenda, which is the committee appointments. And in my capacity as board chair, I'm pleased to recommend Councillor Malik be appointed to serve as a member of the Human Resources, Governance and Stakeholder Relations Committee. So I would like to have a formal resolution to approve the appointment to HRGSR. So can I ask someone to move that motion? Great, Wendy. Second, Jack. All in favor? Very contentious item. Approved. And welcome again. Okay, perhaps something that's becoming potentially a little more contentious, but based on that federal report, which came out, is very timely. David, can you give us an update on the priority projects and a construction update?
I certainly can, Steve. So we've got some progress photos of each of the projects that we're currently working on. So if we can move forward, Charmaine. First photo is the Love Park aerial view. You can see that the reflecting pool, heart-shaped reflecting pool has been constructed. It's still being worked on, as is the rest of the site. We are looking to open in the spring. Due to the time of year, we can't commission the reflecting pool. It's a little too cold, so we'll do that in the spring and open up the park as soon as the weather permits. Next. We are also working on completion of the in-water pipes in East Bayfront. So this is the structure that supports both the pipes and the future boardwalk. We are looking to complete this project by March 31st as well.
So just, David, I'm just a little confused. So does the boardwalk going over where the pillars are coming out?
That's right. The boardwalk will cover the steel structure. We're still working on exactly when that's going to happen, but that's what the intent is, Steve.
And so where's the funding coming for that again?
That's one of the things we're working on with Lisa and Chris's group, as well as what the extent of the design and how to coordinate it with the public art piece in Sherburne Common.
And how much it will cost.
Okay.
And how much.
Okay, so it hasn't been committed as yet.
Has not been committed. We'll be coming back to the board for it's a big enough project that we'll be coming back to farm and the board for capital approval for the boardwalk once we've got all the details sorted.
Okay, great. Okay, thanks.
Charmaine, next. T3, so the Heinz timber building is progressing well. They're looking to be substantially complete Q2 of 2023. And this is, as you're aware, also our new home on the third floor. So we have just retained the consulting team to kick that interiors project for our new space off. Kickoff meeting is scheduled for tomorrow, I believe.
And that's a timber construction building.
That's right. It's timber. So it's actually been topped off and fully. This is a slightly older photo. The curtain wall is all in, so that's they're making good progress now doing the interiors, mechanical and electrical.
It's looking great.
That's quite beautiful, actually.
David, one of the things I might suggest, which might be helpful, particularly as new members come on, and to put a little maybe map in the right-hand corner of where each of the projects are, so people can locate exactly where they are. Just might be helpful.
We'll provide a key map in all future.
Thanks, David.
Yeah. Next, Charmaine. Within the Aquabella, the Child Care Center is nearing completion. Just about, actually, we're about a month away from substantial performance, and it will be taken over by the city for a daycare space.
Great.
Next, Charmaine. In West Donlands, the Block 10, which is the, Meg, help me out on this one.
The Anishinaabe Health Center and Community Hub.
Right. So it's above grade now. I think it's probably a little ways from completion, but we'll continue to provide some updates on this. I think we've got access to a video feed from that site so we can monitor it remotely. Next. Then into the Portlands, so Lakeshore Boulevard East, we've been, work is continuing on the bridges and site prep for the project. This is Keating Channel. Next. In terms of the work that's happening, we are still doing, or we've started to do excavation in the west plug. North plug remains to be done, and we are working in the sediment management area, doing dredging and working on the dry side of that, or the land side of that site. Next. Some of the photos. So the we're going to go right to the video, it looks like. So this is one of our drone. This is the latest drone video we have from November. We were very fortunate to have some great weather, and you can see the river valley pretty clearly. Now we've got Cherry Street Bridge is open. And you can see the vehicles on it and the outlet into the Polson Slip where the new mouth will be. On the north side, the naturalization work is underway along with Canoe Cove. You can see the islands now beginning to take shape. And in fact, we've got a couple of the islands have finishes on them. In Promontory Park, we've started doing ground improvements. So there's a surcharge being placed. That will be in place for probably 6 to 8 months before we actually start some of the actual work in that park area. It's fairly substantial. The scale of it is, it's actually quite a large area. Into the Cherry Street Lakeville area with the coves. We are now looking at doing some additional filling in Cherry Street to raise the grades, or in the Lakeville area to raise the grades to accommodate the future both interim activation uses as well as future park. Work continues on Cherry and completion of the Cherry bridges, looking to open the end of the summer 2023, following which we can remove the existing Cherry Street bridge that you see here. Carrying on down the Keating Channel. To the right, we've got the stormwater outfall. So there's an large oil grit separator and then a storage tank. And then the location for the future river excavation through the North Plug once we are able to reopen Villiers Street, which close Villiers Street, which we can only do after we reopen Commissioner Street. Here north of Lakeshore, you can see some new dock wall underneath the Gardner ramps, and we are working on preparing that area to ultimately accommodate the sediment debris management functions, as well as to widen the river itself once we widened the Lakeshore Bridge. And turning north along the river valley, you can just see the edge of the valley and the ice management area below us in the bottom corner. That ice management area continues to almost the Commissioner Street Bridge. Once we get under the bridge, we enter into the naturalized. Look at this, it's new. So we've got a propeller view to show the what the team calls the avocado. That's the Don Greenway, so a very large wetland with aquatic habitat, terrestrial and avian habitat. And then as we turn in the river at the elbow, we start heading back out towards the inner harbor. See the river as it meanders its way through the valley with wetlands on either side underneath the Cherry Street Bridge, which will appear momentarily. Top right corner, you can see the fire hall, which is in its final location. Working with the City Parks Department to get an agreement in place to do some improvements to that building to allow them to use it once the parks are open. That is wetland number 1. There are actually 5 wetlands in the very large wetlands in the valley, along with the river valley itself. And then, of course, the fabulous views back to the city. I think that's the end of the video. It is. Thanks, Charmaine.
David, great report, and just a public thank you for that great fish you caught, but I guess that's not you. Wow, that is amazing.
So that is a fish that was caught in the inner harbor. Hadn't been anything of the sort in 40 years. So this is just another example of the water quality improvements that we and the city and Toronto Water are achieving to bring back the aquatic habitat.
Wow, that's amazing. Anyway, thanks, David. Really amazing job. There's so much that's under your responsibility, and you've done a great job for us.
Thank you.
David, I guess just for everybody's sake, if everything went according to plan, when would Villiers Island be completed, just to remind everybody?
So, well, from a flood protection perspective, it will be flood protected in August of 2024, with the parks completed at the end of the year, and really starting in 2025, development and development enabling infrastructure could begin.
Great. Okay, thank you for that. Any questions of David? Leslie?
Just quickly, first of all, Lori and I had the opportunity last week to do the tour of the site. It was phenomenal. I think until you're standing in it, you don't really grasp the scale. And my second thing was a question. Is this video publicly available? It's online?
It's on YouTube.
Okay, thank you. That was it.
And CBC is asked to use it, and David's going to be doing a tour of the CBC. So you probably see this video and David on the CBC presently.
No, well, while we're doing that, there.
The fish?
We don't know, the fish got thrown back. On December the 15th, 10 p.m. on the Discovery Channel, there is also a program called After the Storm, where the Portlands project is one of the featured projects that they'll be talking about. So,
Thank you.
Great. Okay, so that completes the open part of our meeting. I would ask for a motion to go into the closed session. Okay, Lori and Jack, thank you. All in favor? Okay, that motion is now approved.
We're just waiting for Steve Diamond to rejoin the meeting. He was not present during the conversation relating to the Quayside Impact agreement. When he gets here, he can have the chair back. All right, well, thank you, everyone. I now welcome Steve Diamond back to the meeting, and I just want to make sure that everyone appreciates that Steve was not present for the discussion about the Quayside Impact agreement arising out of the RFP process. Steve?
Okay, thank you. So just moving on with the material. Now that we're back and open, we need a motion to approve the October 13th, 2022 board meeting closed session minutes. So is there a mover and seconder for that?
I can move that, Steve.
Jeannie and Jack, great. And all in favor?
Aye.
Approved.
Aye.
And now we need a motion to approve the draft rolling 5-year strategic plan. Okay, Raul and Kevin. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary?
Aye.
Great. Now I turn the floor back to you, Jack, as chair of IREC to speak to Quayside.
Thank you very much, Steve. As the chair of IREC, which is the Investment Real Estate Committee of Waterfront Toronto, it is my pleasure to ask for a motion to approve moving ahead with the Quayside Impact. Sorry, I'm hearing feedback. But before calling the resolution, I do want to just say a few words about the process that's brought us to this really very important point in the evolution of Waterfront Toronto. With this board and the committee input and oversight, we took the time to decide what we wanted out of the Quayside project. I mean, this really is a very special moment for us to see and to witness the achievement of the high standards that we have set out and hung on to ensure that the Quayside Impact Project is in fact a world-class one. We conducted the process through the RFQ and then the RFP. We had an amazing participation. Over 10 people expressed an interest, which we cut down to 4. And by February of this year, we'd approved the selection after a very detailed process of the Quayside Impact Limited Partnership as our preferred proponent. Since February, the real estate, we all know, and those of us in the real estate industry know that as many other industries do, that rising interest rates, inflation, it's been an incredibly difficult year of change in our economy. And there were moments when we were concerned that the applications or the proposals that people put forward back in November, almost a year ago or over a year ago, might not still stand the test of time in terms of continuing to be economically sound. So, but we're very fortunate to say that there was wonderful flexibility exercised on the part of both Quayside Impact and Waterfront Toronto, our negotiating team, to bring the deal home. We're satisfied that all of the main principles of the RFP were satisfied, that the economic welfare and the cash flows of Waterfront Toronto are going to be safeguarded and secured through this process. And I'm really pleased that we're at this point. I am also happy to say that in the closed session a few moments ago, this agreement was unanimously approved. Sorry, a few minutes ago we talked about it. 2 weeks ago at IREC, the committee members unanimously approved and recommended this agreement and transaction to the board. So with that, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the transaction. If I could ask Charmaine to put it up on the board so that it can be reviewed one more time. Can I get Ian to read it?
The form of the resolution says on motion duly made by and then seconded by and carried, be it resolved that the corporation be authorized to proceed with the Quayside transaction with Quayside Impact Limited Partnership upon the terms and conditions presented to the meeting, and the president and the chief development officer of the corporation together be authorized and directed to sign on behalf of the corporation the project agreement with Quayside Impact, whereby Quayside Impact will act as the exclusive developer of the Quayside lands, which project agreement will reflect in all material respects as determined by the signing officers, the terms and conditions presented to directors.
Thank you very much. Can I have a mover, please? Kevin, I think that was, and Kevin and Wendy, a seconder. Thank you. Can I ask for all those to show whether they're in favor? Call the vote.
In favor.
In favor. I see that.
Aye.
Yes, in favor. It's Leslie here.
Thank you.
Lori, in favor.
Thanks so much. Okay, so I see that everyone voted except Steve, and all of those who did vote, I'm proud to say, voted in favor of the resolution. So thank you. And with that, I pass the chair back to Steve.
Well, as closing the public session part of the meeting, we've covered a lot of important matters, and congratulations to the entire Waterfront team, the board, Jack, for all your hard work as chair of IREC to see that we're moving forward with the implementation of Quayside. This is a very important moment, what we've come through, and just overall great way to end of the year and move into our next year. So congratulations. Again, I'm going to ask for a motion to terminate the meeting, but I will ask after that all directors stay behind without our government partners for our in-directors camera meeting. And George, I'd like you to stay on for that. And everybody else who's leaving, once again, all the best for the holiday season. And we'll look forward to seeing you again in the new year. So with that, a motion to terminate the meeting. Jeannie, seconded by Alicia. Approved. Done.